check out this example is only adding or subtracting. In this particular step, we treat this just like it was an equal sign. And so if this was an equal sign, it would look more like this, right? And we would solve this. We would solve by adding 5 to both sides, and we would figure out what x equals. Not a whole lot different. This is pretty straightforward. This is actually the same sort of thing that we've actually done in the past. And so really it's not a whole lot different. We have two sides. I sort of like to keep my sides separated by drawing a straight line down and keeping one thing on one side, and whatever I do to one side I must do to the other side. So if I add 5 here, because the opposite of subtracting 5 is to add 5, then I must do it on this side as well. So I add 5 here as well, and I draw a line straight across, and drop down my x. If I drop down my x right like this, I drop down my inequality. Now you might have heard us talk about a rule in the past where when it comes to inequalities, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, then that takes your inequality and flips it around. In this case, I'm not multiplying or dividing by a negative number, so I actually don't have to take that inequality and I don't have to flip it around. So in this case, it stays the same. I drop it straight down. These will cross out right here because negative 5 and plus 5 will turn into 0. They'll cancel out, so I end up dropping that x just straight down right like this. Inequality goes straight down, facing the same way. And my final answer here is 5 minus 3 is 2, or negative 3 plus 5 is also just positive 2, right like that. So my final answer looks right like this. That's it. That's my final answer. But it also says graph it. And if it doesn't give you a graph, then you just have to rough sketch your own. Okay, this is how I would rough sketch a straight line for my number line. And then on my number line, I want to plot all values that are less than 2. All right? So in this case, remember my rules. If I have less than or greater than, it's going to be an open circle. Okay? So here's sort of our rules. If it looks like that or like that, then it will be open. If it's like this with an equal to, or like this with an equal to underneath of it, then we fill it in. We make it a nice solid dot on the number line. Okay, so for this particular number line, I put a tick mark on there for 2. You can put other ones on there if you would like. Like for example, this would be 3, and this would be 1, and this would be all the way over at 0. Try to keep the spacing nice, you know. But this is a rough sketch. If it doesn't give you the graph, it's a total rough sketch. And so on this one right here, I'm just gonna do an open circle at 2, and it says right here x is less than 2, so I'm gonna go less than, and shade it. It's nice if you have another color, a different color to shade with, but a pencil or a pen is just fine. You know, rough sketching it, make it darker, make it more bold, something like that. All right, that's my graph that matches this one. If it was greater than or equal to, you would fill it in solid and you would go this way because it's greater than, but that gives you an idea as to what this one would look like. Most of them in the beginning of our section here are pretty straightforward, not too bad, all right?